Incubation hubs have become a global concept. There has been a continuous increase in their numbers around the world as they have been found to be very good tools for job creation and socio-economic development. In recent times, Zimbabwe has embraced incubation hubs with a lot of startups and small businesses undergoing incubation, especially among young people. Recently, the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises Development held an entrepreneurship ecosystem conference under the theme Sustainable Entrepreneurship and Innovation through Business Incubation. The development of incubation hubs, which is coordinated by the ministry, has helped several unemployed youths who are now employers themselves. In the next episode, we will ask some of these young Zimbabweans to tell us their stories. In the meantime, government is confident that the concept is the panacea to skills development, which will result in people not having to find themselves unemployed.
As the nation gears itself to take off towards Vision 2030, the development of micro, small and medium enterprises has been identified as key. In the Zimbabwean context, the SME sector is a major player in the economy, contributing over 60% of GDP and more than 80% of total employment. The sector has in recent years assumed greater prominence as a source of livelihood through absorption of retrenchees from closing companies, school leavers, the youth, women, and those with disabilities. Furthermore, the sector also generates significant export earnings as SMEs have become dominant in a number of key supply chains at the time when big companies are scaling down due to the economic environment. While it is encouraging, ladies and gentlemen, invited guests, to note that the sector is growing, SMEs are still, however, faced with a number of challenges which affect their capacity to meaningfully contribute to the economic development of the country. In response to these challenges, government, guided by the Transitional Stabilization Program, has identified a number of key interventions to spur MSME development, some of which include business linkages, promoting market access, cluster development, access to finance, business management training, and the business incubation program, among many others. Worldwide, ladies and gentlemen, the business incubation program has been identified as key in enterprise development because incubators have increasingly become dynamic, hybridized economic development facilities that combine features of entrepreneurship, business facilitation, and business support mechanism, fostering the promotion of competitive small to medium enterprises. The concept of incubation has achieved worldwide popularity for its efficaciousness in enabling a conducive environment for development of small businesses. Business incubators can be used as a vehicle to accelerate growth and development of startup businesses operating in different sectors of the economy in all the provinces of our country.
The government is seized with the matter and wants to ensure that youths are the center of the country's economy. It is thus encouraging youths to take education seriously.
We also have a venture capital fund, which we are going to capitalize to the tune of 100 million. Although the venture capital fund cuts across age groups, sectors, we'll make sure that we ring-fence a portion to support startups, mainly by youthful individuals. We know that the youth are very good at coding and are very strong in the ICT sector. So that's a sector that we'll target. But then we'll also make sure we find these youth or individuals from the private incubation hubs, not just from the government ones, the private incubation hubs. We know all Mutual are running incubation hubs, so is Econet and others. They are all over the place. There's one also funded by India, I'm aware, and other development partners. We will make sure that we hand them everywhere and support them because we know that that is the future. Now, we also launched the Presidential Youth Entrepreneurship Program, again, to give impetus to this whole idea of supporting the youth and entrepreneurship to create jobs, but also for them to create jobs for others.
But why have the incubation hubs in the first place? The Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, Science and Technology Development believes that the incubation hubs will take Zimbabwe to a higher level.
Incubation hubs are very important. What is happening is that in Zimbabwe, we have got many young people who are trying to start businesses. We also have many young people who have very brilliant ideas, but they don't know how to take this from idea to product. So the idea of the incubation hubs is to make sure that young people are assisted in the incubation hub. Firstly, how do you transform your idea into a product that is, say, patentable, or a product that can actually be manufactured in industry. So during that process of incubation, you are assisting the person with their idea, but you are also helping them with issues of patents and issues of copyrights, which are very important, because if you don't do that, the idea can be taken by somebody else. And then from there, you also discuss issues of marketing. As you can see, we are producing so many things, as you can see even here on the different stands, but marketing becomes a problem. It's because at the time we are producing the product, we are not thinking of who is going to buy it. So an incubation hub helps in training the individual, mentoring them, training them, ensure that you have many people who come to support them with ideas so that the business idea becomes a success. I would say to the Zimbabwean youth who is not employed is that Zimbabwe is full of opportunities. What we need to do is to think, what is it that I can do? If you have an idea, there is always somebody who can help you. Think that idea through and see whether that idea can be translated into something that can be marketed.
At the Conference on Entrepreneurship, many youths called for President Emerson Mnangagwa's government to inject funds into the development of incubation hubs. Already, a number of private companies have entered this space and have started supporting incubation hubs.
Under the SME banking unit, specifically dealing with financial inclusion and targeting women, youth, and disabled persons. So the desk really applies to pretty much everything that we're going to be discussing here today. And the reason why I'm here is basically just to give insights as to how we as the financial institutions are finding aspects to do with incubation and financial inclusion.
The SME banking unit of KEBS is not confined to Harare only, but is also spread throughout the country to ensure that youths dotted around the country equally benefit from funding.
The success stories, we have quite a number, but maybe just to highlight that from the beginning that the incubation that we are running is currently still a new program. But we have been dealing with the youth in various other aspects before in terms of lending. Now, in the program that we had where we were lending before, there were quite a number of success stories, which we're still trying to document, but we've had people that we have given back in the day maximum of about $5,000 that have grown their businesses and have begun to employ more youth within their projects. Well, there are quite a number of them. I can't really give the exact details of the projects because they are scattered across the country and in different industry sectors, be it mining, agriculture, the service industry, and manufacturing. So there are quite a number of them.
That is certainly good news to many Zimbabweans, as there are various sectors covered, and more importantly, this will not only be happening in Harare, but all over the country. This means every part of the country will be covered and people will be able to get the chance to acquire the necessary skills. Of note is that where private players invest, there is need to make sure that there is capacity to keep the investment secure. This is important for the private players willing to work with President Emmerson Mnangagwa's government to make Zimbabwe a better place for everyone, including the youths, as this is one of the priorities of the new dispensation.
But then also the challenges that we are finding are that while access to finance is one of the big issues, the issue of capacity within the people that we need to give the finance to is quite critical as well. When people come for incubation, what they are looking for is the funding itself and not the process of incubation, which starts from idea stage all the way up to actually impacting the society or the world as it may be. So people just come in and want the funding, but are not willing to go through the steps. So I think that's the biggest challenge that we have, and it's a mindset that we might need to change.
Others are not there to provide funds, but technical assistance for the graduates of Incubation Hub training.
Basically, we're concentrating in 2020 on SMEs that want to export outside Zimbabwe, obviously, right? We have partners right across the globe, especially in Europe. We are also the official representative of the government of South Italy, internationalization of their SMEs. We are working with the local university to commercialize their student innovations.
At the two-day Zimbabwe Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Conference in Bulawayo, a number of higher education institutions in the country, including the Midlands State University, National University of Science and Technology, as well as the University of Zimbabwe, told delegates that they are making progress in the area of innovation and disruption. This will certainly take Zimbabwe to heights it seeks in economic growth. It is possible to reimagine one day Zimbabwe making a breakthrough that will answer many of our problems, such as in climate change or food security. And it is in this that incubation hubs are central. Some of the private players working with the government on incubation hubs are looking for markets beyond our borders.
We also, over the last 5 years, have been the Africa representative of the European Business Network, which is a group of European incubators, and we help that organization in internationalization of the activities of their SMEs. We also have a number of other relationships, but they are mainly in Europe. In Zimbabwe, we got one bank that we work with that finances SMEs, and we do the incubation aspect of their activities.
This will bring the much-needed foreign currency into the country. But what are some examples of success?
As we speak right now, we are exporting stone sculptures from Zimbabwe to Dubai. Just to give you an example of that, we tried to find a market of the stone sculptures in Dubai, and the potential client said the stones were very cheap because we were trying to market them at $500. So they actually forced us to increase the price to about $2,000, and it wasn't just an increase of the price. We had to add value to make the stones expensive. So we ended up putting gold earrings to their heads, just as an example.
Over the years, critics have accused the government of implementing programs which are not sustainable. That will not certainly apply to the incubation hub's development, as the government of India has already come through and supported the Zimbabwean government in this endeavor. Government-owned National Small Industries Corporation of India has deployed its representative to make sure Zimbabwe does not fail in this regard. India-Africa Incubation Center, a collaboration between the Government of India and Zimbabwe, is a business startup support center for entrepreneurs which has since been set up in Waterfalls, Harare. It supports business startups as it is challenging for an individual to start their own company from scratch to its full potential.
The best practices which we have acquired over a period of 60 years in the promotion and development of micro, small, medium enterprises, those we can share, and that we are already sharing with the other countries in African continent as well as in the Indian subcontinent. Any small and medium enterprises is the backbone of any country's GDP growth, employment generation, and export development. So that is how it should be important for Zimbabwe also.
What lessons can the young people of Zimbabwe learn from India? And what would it take for the Zimbabwean citizen who is not employed at the moment to set themselves up in entrepreneurship, given that skills development of the youth is on a very low side at 38%?
There is a vast gap between the unskilled youth, and you have a huge population which is very young in terms of their age, like in any other country, like in India also. So there is huge opportunity for the learners, for the youth to come forward and take up the learning on the technologies, various types of technologies.
Such technologies are there at the India-Africa Incubation Center in Waterfalls. President Emerson Mnangagwa's government plans to establish more centers around the country, with the second one being at the Bulawayo Polytechnic College in the City of Kings. That will surely help cut distances for those in that region who might want to get trained on a part-time basis.
Take up the learnings so that they go for the employment or self-employment opportunities. It is very important. So likewise, once they are that is what any government or any institution would like, or any family for that matter would like, anywhere in the world, that youth, after acquiring the education, they are made to stand on their own feet. That is what is important, and we find that this can provide some solution. Being a entrepreneur, set up your own machine and being a successful entrepreneur. So that is how it is important for Zimbabwean youth as well.
Well, there you have it, Zimbabwean youths. Not having an employer does not mean one does not have a role to play in the economic development of the country or can't develop their own alternative income streams. The unemployed youths need to just think deeply on the incubation hubs concept and find their own place in the ecosystem. Next time we take you to the India-Africa Incubation Center to hear the stories and experiences of those that have taken up the challenge of getting a startup going and who are now proudly their own bosses. Till then, it's bye for now.